I would like to take this opportunity to welcome all of you to our journey towards becoming web development. In today's video, we'll be taking a look at the roadmap or the guide to becoming full-stack web developers. But before everything, let's take a look at some of the reasons why you might want to be a web developer. With web development, you can work from home. It gives you that freedom to work from anywhere you are, whether you are in the house or you are even on a journey somewhere. You can work with web. Just get your laptop and your internet connection and you'll be able to work. So that means that you don't necessarily have to go to the office and sit down with your PC and work. You can work from anywhere you are. This is a huge advantage, and there are tons of job opportunities out there. All you need to do is just to apply. Then it gives great income. With web development, you will earn huge. Honestly, let's visit Google and see something here. If you're in Ghana, this is the average salary of a web developer in Ghana: 28,000 Ghana cedis. This might vary from company to company, but averagely this is what the salary of every web developer in Ghana here. From research, startups pay less, but not that less though. 28,000 I think is huge, and it's cool. And according to Indeed.com, the average salary of a web developer in the United States of America is $78,000. This is super dope. Okay. There are also freelance job opportunities. So let's take it that you don't have a computer science degree, which probably serves as the entrance level for web development in certain companies. You can visit this platform, Fiverr. Fiverr is a great platform for freelancers. So all you have to do is just set up an account, join the team. So let's explore their marketplace. If you're a graphic designer and you are looking for clients, or you are looking to build professional flyers and posters, banners and the like for clients, you can come to Fiverr, set up an account. Then you will specify the charge you will be charging for each project you work. So clients will come and check your profile. If your price is affordable, then they'll work with you. They'll contact you and work with you. You have digital marketing, programming and tech, music and tech. There's also another platform called Upwork. You visit upwork.com. You can also come here as a freelancer, then set up your account. Clients will check your profile. If your price is affordable, then they'll contact you. Then work starts. It's also creative and fun. With web development, it gives you that privileged opportunity to bring out the best in you. This is cool. Now let's start delving in a bit. Now every computer actually has an operating system. As a web developer, you need to have your computer and your internet connection. You can either build websites with Windows OS, Mac OS, or Linux. I use Windows a lot. But from research, Mac OS is loved by many developers. It's so cool, but I haven't used it though. Linux is also cool. With Ubuntu, it's cool. You can use any of these OSs for web development. Now, we'll be writing codes. You definitely write codes in web when you are building a website. So you need an editor or an IDE to write your codes. There are tons of them out there. The most popular ones are VS Code, Atom, and Sublime Text, which are mostly used for web development. VS Code is actually my favorite, which was built by Microsoft. It's actually built by Microsoft. It has a lot of plugins and extensions, which makes development very easy and faster. And I recommend it. Visual Studio Code. You can get it on Google. Just head on to vscode.org and you get it. Now you also need a web browser as a web developer. There's Chrome, Firefox, and Internet Explorer. My favorite is Chrome. I use Firefox too, but I highly recommend Chrome. I don't know, but I just recommend it. I love it. Firefox is also great. Chrome has DevTools, which I'll be recording a video on the DevTools. As a developer, you need to get familiar with the DevTool. It will really helps and to speed up your time. You know how things work under the hood when you are developing. Firefox also has its DevTools and it's also great. Internet Explorer is great, but it has quite a number of browser incompatibility issues, which isn't much loved by many developers. Now, as a web developer, it's good you have a fair knowledge in designing or prototyping. Before you develop a website for a client or for any business organization, you just don't have to start writing your codes like that. What happens after you finish writing your codes or you finish building the website? Then you present your work to the client and he or she says he doesn't like it. What happens? That will be tons of waste of time. So it's good you first prototype the website or you design the website, then you submit it to the client. If the client likes it, then you can now implement that design with your codes. There are also tons of them out there. The most popular ones are Adobe XD, Figma, Sketch, even Photoshop. You can use Photoshop to even design websites. I'm a favorite fan of Adobe XD. I started with that one. I've worked with XD for about 2 years now, and it's super cool. Figma too is dope. I've used it a bit on a couple of projects. It's also very great and it's good for collaboration. Sketch is also good, but I think Sketch is always on Mac PCs, not on Windows. Now let's start delving in front end dev arena. Now front end is all about what the user see when they first visit your website, and the first thing you will learn in your journey towards becoming full stack web development is the front end. And the front end, the HTML actually is part of the building blocks of front-end web development, and HTML is an acronym which stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It is used to define the structure of the website. When learning HTML, you will learn attributes, doc type, elements, links, how to embed links on your website and stuffs. This is just a basic codes of how HTML looks like. We will delve into them in our future episodes. Okay, let's look at what CSS. CSS actually what? CSS is used. It describes how what website should look and feel. After you are done with your HTML, you need to beautify your website. You need to make your website look amazing and great, and you do it with your CSS, where you specify colors. Whether you specify how you want the color for a particular maybe paragraph or heading, whether it should be blue, yellow, green, and the like, and they were the font size and also the font family, how to position what elements. You also learn what the grid and the flex box, media queries, the box model, where you will learn a pattern, margin and the rest, transition, how to also do animations with what CSS. Then you have to also learn responsive web design. Your website should be compatible on all devices. Many people nowadays use their mobile phones to access websites. So if you build your website with your laptop, which is just okay, how you are seeing it on a laptop is okay, and after deploying it, and maybe let's take it that you've not built it in a mobile friendly manner, mobile phones users wouldn't see it. The layout of the website wouldn't be great because it's not what mobile friendly. You build it with a desktop, but you've not what build layouts of what mobile phone on it, so it doesn't look great on mobile phones or either tablet or laptop or other smaller screens, which is very bad. So we'll be taking a look at what media queries, viewports, and some people, what some web developers actually do is when they are developing websites, they actually make it the mobile first, as an specifying your media queries and stuff before they start to build for what other screens such as tablets, laptops, and the rest. Yeah, but which way you still arrive at the same thing. I actually build for larger screens before mobile. Now let's take a look at what CSS what processes. So after you've what learned CSS, you need to learn what we call CSS what preprocessor. What is actually the CSS process? Preprocessor is a scripting language that extends the default capabilities of what CSS. These processes enable us to use logic on our CSS code, such as variables, functions, mixes. When you are using a CSS preprocessor, it's kind of like you are actually programming with a programming language where you're working with variables, functions, mixes, and it speeds up our code. It makes it easy to automate a bunch of or a repetitive tasks, reducing many lines of code, and ensure backward compatibility. It's very great to use a CSS preprocessor. It's optional, but it's worth it using a CSS preprocessor. It speeds up your work. Popular ones are SAS and less. Many people use SAS too. Less is also cool, but SAS is mostly used. Now we also have CSS frameworks. There are tons of them out there, but these three are the most popular ones. But then what is even the CSS framework? It gives developers a basic structure, which includes great interactive UI patterns, buttons and the like. The structure helps web developers to start quickly and efficiently when they are designing a website or a web app. This means that developers can free themselves from starting everything from scratch. CSS framework will create the foundation. Unlike CSS, just take a look at all these. Take a look at these buttons, how they are neatly styled. These are just single line of code when you are using a CSS framework. But with CSS, you end up using about 5-6 lines of code. You have to specify your pattern, how to properly center the text, your border radius and all those stuff. But with a CSS framework, it makes the work easier. You don't even have to type the code from scratch. You can just go and copy it from the official documentation of these frameworks. Then you are good to go. It makes prototyping and work very easier. I use Bootstrap a lot, but I haven't used it for some time now. But it's very great. Materialize, I've used it on a couple of projects, but Tailwind I haven't used it before. Now let's delve into vanilla JavaScript. Now JavaScript is the language of the browser, and it helps us to add dynamic content to our website. Now in learning JavaScript, we have to first of all learn the fundamentals, where you look at variables, data types, statements, loops, conditionals, function, and the rest. You also be taking a look at the DOM, which stands for the document object model. The HTML DOM is just an object model for the HTML, and it defines HTML elements as objects. It also defines the properties for all HTML elements and the methods for all HTML elements. You will also be working with events, which is also the DOM is also it defines all the events for HTML elements. Now let's take a look at JSON. JSON is also an acronym which stands for JavaScript Object Notation. JSON is a syntax for storing and exchanging data. JSON is just like a plain text written with JavaScript object notation. When exchanging data between a browser and a server, the data can only be in a text format. So the JSON is a text, and we can use the JSON to convert any JavaScript object into JSON and send the JavaScript onto the server. Then there's also Ajax. AJAX is also an acronym which stands for Asynchronous JavaScript and XML. AJAX actually is just a technique for creating fast and dynamic web pages. AJAX allows web pages to be updated asynchronously by exchanging small amounts of data with a server behind the scenes or under the hood. This means that there's a possibility, okay, that when you update the path of a web page, you can update the path of a web page without necessarily reloading the entire web page. With AJAX, that is very fast, or it's very possible to do that with AJAX. You just have to update a particular page but not the entire page. Now, in learning vanilla JavaScript, we have to also learn the modern JS, which is ESX. We'll be taking a look at promises, distraction, object and array distraction, arrow functions, and classes, and many more. ESX also makes our JavaScript codes more easier and faster. Now let's take a look at, after we learn vanilla JavaScript and we build a couple of projects with it, it's good you learn a JavaScript framework. Framework just allows us to build powerful single page application with well organized or interactive UIs. There's quite a number of them, but the popular ones, we have React. Technically, React is a library. Then we have Vue, which is a framework, a JavaScript framework, the Angular. React is built by Facebook, and it's all about components. It's super cool. I've used React before. React is super cool. Vue 2 is also gaining popularity. Angular 2 is great, and is the framework of enterprise. Angular is actually used by most big companies. Now, after you've learned all that, you need to now learn deployment. First of all, you need to register, get your domain, your hosting company and stuff. So when there are few companies out there where you can register a domain. Popular one is Namecheap in Google Domains. Namecheap is actually very popular and is preferred by many. Now, the hosting companies, there's InMotion Host Data. If you're in Ghana, you can use UltraHost GH. They also offer best hosting services. Then, when you build a static website that's with only HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you can host them for free on Netlify and GitHub pages. That's all. Just that you wouldn't get a custom domain, but if you have a custom domain, you can hook it up and you are good to go. Then you also have a free SSL certificate, which is HTTPS, means that it's secured. Then most of these companies, they come with the cPanel setup. cPanel is just like a piece of software where you can manage your hosting account. Okay, now let's move into the backend. Server-side languages. We have Node.js, Python, PHP, Ruby, Go, and Java. There are tons of them out there, but I've just listed these ones, and they are very popular as in the web development arena. Okay, Node.js. Node.js is an open source cross-platform JavaScript environment that executes JavaScript code outside the browser. Basically, that's what it is. So if you are a JavaScript, if you know JavaScript at your front end, you will pick up Node.js very easy, because it uses JavaScript. It's just purely JavaScript, and it has its framework called Express. Express is just it's also a framework, and it lets you structure a web app to handle multiple different HTTP requests at a specific URL. Express is minimal. It's also open source, and it's flexible Node.js web app framework, which designed to make developing websites or web apps and APIs much easier and faster. Python 2 is also one of the easiest programming languages out there, which is very popular in the world of data science, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. And you can use Python 2, or Python also fits well in web development, and it's popular framework is what? Django. Django too is very though I've not really used it, but I read a bit about it. It's a high level Python framework that enables rapid development of secure and maintainable websites. In Django, it takes care of much of the hassle of web development. So you can just focus on writing your web app without needing to reinvent your world. Ruby too is also dope and it's very old. You use Rails, you have Go, Java. For Java, I haven't used try Java with web development. So now, after you've learned these languages and frameworks at your backend, you need to learn a database. Your web app will certainly need to store its data in a database. Now, there are quite a number of databases. We have relational database, we also have non-relational database. With a relational database, you work with tables, and the popular ones are MySQL, PostgreSQL, MS SQL. I've worked with MySQL, which it has a GUI or GUI, that's PHP where you can store your data and do all your SQL queries and see them live. Then there's also non-relational database. Popular one is Mongo database, rating database. A Mongo database also has its GUI and it's called RoboMongo or Compass. Non-relational database. You don't work with tables when you are working with non-relational database. You work in documents or JSON format, and it goes very well with Node.js. There's also cloud database platforms. So Firestore. I use Firestore a lot. Firestore is so cool. Then you have Azure Cloud database and AWS, which is also a cloud database platform. Now, so after you've learned all these technologies we've discussed here, and you've built projects with them, you can now call yourself a full stack web developer. That's the journey so far. There are still many technologies that you still have to learn, but these ones, with these technologies we've discussed, you are good to go. You are a full stack web developer. You can now start to explore into other areas, like mobile app development, which is very easy to pick up as a web developer with this knowledge on these technologies. Okay. So I thank you all for your audience.